want to go over some of the things people that work at a bank won't tell you, or you just really don't know about people that work at a bank. First and foremost, we know everything you do. If you come in once a week to deposit your check, we know what you do with your check. We know how you pay your bills, when you pay your bills. We know when you're late with stuff. We know your address. We know all your business. And we're not sitting around telling people your business, but don't be surprised. People at the bank talk. And they're going to talk about what you're doing. They know what you're doing. They know if you have a mistress. As an example being, one financial institution I worked at, this guy would deposit money into this girl's account like once a week, and it was like $2,000 a week. It was a lot of money. And they're like, yeah, that's his mistress's account. That's how he keeps her up. And that's a lot of money in small town Alabama where I live. That's like $2,000 a week. She lived like a queen. You would be emperor of the town I lived in. You'd have been considered rich for that kind of money. And the other stuff you should probably know is, like, if you think you know better than we do, you don't. And if you're nice to us, we will help you to a certain extent. But the people that are impolite or we don't want to deal with, we will send you directly to the customer service line or hand you a number for you to call. Because if you're easy to deal with, we're happy to deal with you. But if you're not, we're not going to help you. Like, we'll help you to the extent that we have to, but after that, like, if you're a pain in my ass, I might call for you, but if they can't help me, I'm going to give you the number. Yeah, they said you needed to call. We're not beyond, like, making you help yourself. Because that's just how it works. And another thing you should know, and everyone should know, is one thing we absolutely hate is when you come in and you got a pressing matter, you got like a transaction that needs done, and your phone rings and you answer it. And you're like, oh yeah, hey, no, I'm just at the bank. I had something really important, but now I'm going to carry on this conversation so my banker can sit here staring at me awkwardly. And people don't care. We hate that. If you do that, I will stop everything until you get off the phone. I will browse the internet. I will do everything but help you with your issue. Because there's nothing worse than trying to ask you a question. Oh, sir, hang on. What do you need? I need to see your debit card or your license. Let me call you back. And now I look like the jackass for interrupting your phone call that interrupted our interaction. We hate that. Don't do that. That makes you an asshole. Because there are places that will, like, refuse to deal with you if you answer your phone. If you're texting, that's one thing. That's fine. Play on your phone, go nuts. But if I have a question for you, answer it. And another big no-no, don't tell us how to do our job. Don't be like, well, they said you could help me. Whoever they is, we hate that person. We'll do everything we can to help you, but there's stuff that's not within our powers. There's only so much we can do, and if you say, well, at the other place they do this, go there. Because when you do stuff like that, you're kind of throwing the other place under the bus. Because at a lot of places, if you do stuff as a one-time courtesy, we have to, I make it clear to people, look, I'll help you out with this because you lost your wallet, but this is a one-time thing. I cannot do this again. Cannot, will not. Because if you start doing stuff like that, they go to another branch and like, oh, they always do it for me at that branch. And that person's like, oh, really? Well, what's the name of the person that helps you with that? I'm going to call and get them fired. Because I'm in a bad mood because I had to deal with this guy that answered the phone while I was helping them. And that can cost somebody their job. So keep that in mind the next time somebody does you a favor or does a one-time courtesy for you, because that's what's at stake. Not like there's always more to it. It's someone's job. And you wouldn't believe how many businesses make night deposits and they come up short and they don't care. Like, places I worked at, deposits came up short. That was somebody's job. Like, you were fired, written up, but in a lot of cases, nothing happens to them. So a lot of that goes on behind the scenes. And as far as loan applications go, we don't really have a say anymore. We're middlemen and women at best. We put in your loan application, it goes to an underwriter. We can go to bat for you, but the underwriter's dealing with 100, 200 loans at once. They're going to look at it, decline it, and that's going to be the end of it. They're not going to look at it again. Sorry, not sorry. That's just how it works. They're going to be looking for reasons to decline it. That's just, at least that's how it feels. Because banks will never give you money when you need it. I had a manager that told me that, and that's just how it works. It's unfortunate, but keep that in mind. And another thing you don't realize is you have a banking credit score. Like, if you play fast and loose with the banking system, like you charge off accounts, you let accounts go negative, you deposit fake checks, you do all of these things, banks know that. Like, if you commit fraud at another bank, you can't just walk into another bank and open an account, no big deal. They're going to turn you down. So you got to keep that stuff up. It's every bit as important as your credit. So if you think, oh, well, I'll just make my account go negative and I'll have $300, well, that short-term game is going to prevent you from ever opening a bank account ever again. It's not that big of a deal now with Chime and stuff, but keep that in mind when you're doing transactions. If your account goes negative a lot, and that's another thing. If you do a loan application and your account's in the negative, it is going to get turned down. It will get turned down. That will appear first on the list of things. Account's negative. Because they're like, well, what do you need money for? Oh, your account's negative? Well, if you're not going to keep your account up, how do we know you're going to make this loan payment? And another thing is, as far as loan applications go, well, then it factors in, and you wouldn't think it would, is do you have accounts with us? If all things are equal and one person has an account and the other doesn't, that's going to get you pushed over the edge. So keep that in mind when it comes to loan applications and credit cards. And we try to be reasonable because it's still a retail customer-facing job. And it's a job I like and I like to do and I wanted for as long as I've had it. But you got to keep in mind, we can't do everything. And another big thing is a banker, the position, like the movies glamorize it. They glamorize everything, but really with a banker, they act like my dad's a banker. So that means you automatically have money by the fistfuls. Most bankers make about between $38,000 and $50,000 a year. You're not making, I mean, that's still good money, but we're not making $100,000. I mean, some of your higher end investment bankers, yeah, they're making good money, but that person you see at Wells Fargo, they're not making that kind of money for the most part. So keep that in mind, because there's like a mystique to it, because, and I like being a banker, but you're not making hundreds of thousands of dollars the movies makes it out to, which shame on you for believing fiction anyway. But, and another thing is, the employees are not stupid. If you're trying to get around money laundering and regulations, we know it and we report it. If you come in and deposit $9,900, you do that 3 days in a row, we report that. Because that's structuring, and that's also illegal. So and another thing is, we notice unusual activity. If you withdraw $100 a week, and then one day you take out $500, we notice that. And if you come in and take out $500 again, that gets reported. And they try to see what's going on. Because elder abuse and like handicap abuse is very rampant. It happens all the time. So many people are taking other people's checks. So we notice that. We look for signs and we keep an eye on things. We report stuff. You can't fool us. Like, if you commit fraud and you try to get the money back, the fraud department's not stupid. They might give you the money back now, but in 2 months when they audit it, they can take that money right back. Another important thing to know is if you're on an account with someone and they make it go negative, those fast and loose people, they can, and you're on an account with them, they can go into your other accounts and take that money off. It's called right of set off. That's a law. You can lose the money. So be careful who you have on your account. It can come back and bite you in the ass, and in a really bad way. So keep that in mind. Because I've seen a lot of people like, well, why'd you take the money out? Yeah, it's called right of set off. Your mom, sister, brother, uncle, kid, because it's not always kids that do it. Sometimes parents mess around with the banking system and use their kids' accounts for weird stuff, and it's not good. It's not good for the kid, and it's not good for the parent, because you're messing up that kid's credit. And another thing is, if your credit score is below, if you can't buy a house, you're going to get turned down for the loan. Unless you go to one of the fringe banks like OneMain or some of the others, a bank will turn you down for a loan if you can't buy a house. That's pretty much the rule of thumb, I would say. So when you come in and we ask how your credit score is, we're not trying to like get up in your business. We're just trying to get a general idea of whether you should apply or not, because a lot of places, they can't turn people away. If you want to apply for a loan and you want it bad enough, we have to do the application. When in reality, it's a waste of both our time, because you could get turned down. You could get, like, it lowers your credit. It doesn't help anything. Like, it literally puts you, if you're trying to rebuild credit, it could put you 6 months behind what you're trying to do. And I'd have so many people come in, I'd ask how their credit's sitting. Oh, it's not bad. It's like a 520. No, that's bad. 520 is bad credit. 400's bad credit. And if your credit's below 400, you've had identity theft, because it's really hard to get that low. So that's just some stuff to keep in mind. That's what people at banks won't tell you, or you don't know, is that a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes that we have no control over. So just keep that in mind for the future.